And so it's really important, if you want love and connection and partnership, not only do you need self-awareness about your own sequencing, but it's really helpful to know what your partner's sequencing is. Again, you're not taking care of them. What you're doing is providing an environment where they can actually be present and show up.
Welcome to Understand Your Man. I'm Nathan Joblin, co-founder of Modern Wisdom Press and author of the book Trapped, The Responsible Man's Guide to Personal Freedom and Happiness.
And I'm Natasha a psychotherapist with 20 years in the field, working firsthand with men who are trying to show up for their partners and families. I bring the perspective that we as women need to heal and ground ourselves in our own energy so that we make space that invites our partners forward to connect to us in the intimacy and safety that we crave, that we deserve.
This podcast aims to build a bridge between men and their female partners by offering an understanding of why your man may not be showing up in the way you know he's capable of.
All right. And on that note, we are going to maybe examine what makes a good conversation.
That's the big piece. And I'm laughing because when Nathan and I were talking before about setting this up, what did you say about words? No, not just for
ordering food.
They're actually meant to communicate intention, emotion, connection.
Yeah, accomplish deeper goals. Yeah.
How comfortable, and again, I know that you're representing all different archetypes of men, but generally speaking, when it comes to using words for the purposes of conveying attachment and connection, what does that feel like for you?
Feels like a lot. Those are, foundational communication concepts, but words that I don't really use. And so it's a bit like visiting a strange land. But I know that there's a middle ground, and it's framing. So I can find some words that work for me that also work for my partner, hopefully, so that we have mutual understanding and understand that we have different communication styles.
And that I love, middle ground and mutual understanding. I love how in episodes before we talked about how safety is language that women generally use, which just translates to freedom because that feels safe for men. And we can come to middle ground because if we're not on the same page about what that means and a man talks about freedom, that can activate safety for women being like, freedom, you don't want to be in this relationship. You don't want to be around me. You need more time. And again, generally speaking, we're usually wanting the same things: security, love, affection, connection. We just have different ways of getting there. So Middle ground language, I like it.
Yeah. And so I'm just reminded that even though we've been in, perhaps, long-term partnership or really amazing partnership with someone, we've oftentimes, I can speak for myself, skipped a lot of steps because I didn't know what the steps were. And so making sure we're on the same page as to what a goal of a conversation is, like kindergarten, kindergarten for starting a serious conversation.
Yes, because what happens when you hear as men, we need to talk? What happens? I love just seeing it. What happens in your body and in your mind?
It's like being called up in front of the class.
Yes. And if it feels like being called up in the class, right away, your body, your nervous system has to arm up. Fight, flight, freeze, fragment, flow, fawn. We can talk a bit about that. But freeze. Part of the middle, you freeze. Ladies, most men actually go to freeze or they go into fight. And again, there are biological evolutionary reasons why they generally tend to go to fight or freeze based on their upbringing. If the guy's bigger than me, I'm going to freeze.
Yeah.
If I'm in a corner, I'm going to fight my way out. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I have my hand up. I guess I have reverted. I didn't even think about that. Is it possible to toggle really quickly between freeze and fight? Because I feel like that's what happens to me sometimes. A really uncomfortable feeling, and I want to retreat and I also want to defend, quote unquote, defend myself.
Absolutely. And the truth is we are complex. And it's one of the things I don't love about certain diagnoses or attachment styles or certain books. It's even now today in our conversation, like, you are unique. We are all complex. And generally speaking, we sequence. We can start with freeze, then we go to fight, then we go to fawn, which is like to make things better and to give ourselves away. And then when that's not received, we can go to fight again. And then when we've tried to do everything, we just end up back in freeze. And so it's really important, if you want love and connection and partnership, not only do you need self-awareness about your own sequencing, but it's really helpful to know what your partner's sequencing is. Again, you're not taking care of them. What you're doing is providing an environment where they can actually be present and show up.
I like that word sequence. I've never heard that in this context. And for me, it removes some of the emotion around it, and understanding that we're in a process, and it's not there. We don't need to judge a process, right? We just need to understand it in this case. And so I think that helps me to detach from my own struggle a little bit, to see that I'm in a process.
Of course it is. And what it does is it actually takes any of like the shame or feel of failure off of us, because it's not, 43-year-old me. This is the conditioning of my body. If you come at me like this, I'm gone, and my body is going to sequence what it does. And as soon as my fight is up, or my flight is up, or my freeze is up, whatever's up, if I can't stay in the room and my nervous system just takes off, I've said this before, it takes at least 28 minutes for me to be back in the room and to have this conversation again. And so the first thing that we want to talk about when we talk about coming together for a conversation to process any feelings or conflict, there needs to be flexibility. I've heard people say, like, we're going to dig in and we're just going to sit here until we figure this out. And I go, oh no, there's no way that you're both going to feel free and safe. There's a difference between I won't abandon you and I'll come back, but I want to make sure that I'm calm and that I'm here. So flexibility is a really important piece, because we are dealing with neurobiology. It's not Nathan, it's the neurobiology of Nathan that we are trying to keep safe so that Nathan can be in the room. Same thing with Natasha. Mm-hmm. And, I know I teach a lot of this to my male clients that I have, and they'll kind of throw up their hands and are like, really? Can't I just buy her flowers and tell her that I'm sorry and everything's going to be okay? And I'm like, you can, but you're going to have to do that again in about 3 months, because this issue is not going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just had the experience also. We started this out with, the let's talk and how did I feel? I felt like I was being chastised in front of the teacher, in front of the class, and so just now when I was trying to describe, and I got tongue tied when I was trying to describe the state, shame came into my mind as a word I might say. But I thought in the moment, I'm like, that's way too strong. But, it's, you can speak to this, but it's really overrepresented in our basic emotional responses. It's shocking. And it's, in my opinion, in terms of what I experience, I think it's the worst emotion.
It's a deadly emotion. It's a lethal one, because it doesn't allow for the acceptance of your experience and what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so women, I think, were often confused that men feel fear or shame, because that's not what you lead with. You generally lead with fight, which we experience as aggressive and egotistical and toxic, not understanding that that's you guys really protecting yourselves in the only way that you know how. And I'm saying aggressive, not abusive. I'm talking about like raised voice, right? Or freeze, which is, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to go numb, which we women often interpret as dismissive or uninterested, right? Or devaluing us. All that's happened is your nervous system has gone into its automatic conditioning. And then we make a lot of meaning of it. And you men do it too. When women freeze, because we're like, we're not getting through to our partner, I'm not getting my needs met, and we freeze, how often are we considered to be cold bitches? Nope, my nervous system just froze.
Yeah. And as you say that, I would say as the guy, it's like, I'm not necessarily running from you or this conversation. I'm running from the feelings that are popping up.
and the feelings that are popping up that have been there long before we met. And I think that that is the most important piece. So you really do need to have a commitment and investment from your partner that we both want the same things, which is a safe relationship that's committed and allows us to feel seen, heard, loved, and supported. Mm-hmm. If that intention is there, this work needs to happen. And it's not all day, every day, but it's as issues arise, there's a safe space for us to unpack it.
It seems valuable to have that conversation first, and it's again, it's counterintuitively, it's not a conversation you imagine that you need to have with someone with whom you've been in partnership for years, but it's just a really good calibration.
Yes. If what you're looking for is an aware, awake, genuine connection, and more, that is what we're looking for. Gone are really the days where we're having relationships for the purposes of just utilitarianism, where it's like, I just want to get married and raise these kids and have a roof over my head and have someone to go to a party with. More and more people are looking for more enlightened relationship, which means you need to have awareness of yourself and awareness of your partner, and to take each other's best interest as your own. It's not giving yourself away. It's like, in order to get my needs met, you need to feel safe. And in order to get your needs met, I need to feel safe. And we want each other to meet each other's needs because you're the partner I've chosen to love.
Mm-hmm. And in that context of partnership too, I think this exercise, hopefully, I'm sure for some people it might stir some things up in terms of not being on the same page, but it's also can be framed as an invitation to the guy or the partner to learn how to state desire and goals and what would I like in terms of this connection? How can I put that into words? And so in that sense, it can help us to learn to flex that muscle in terms of stating needs.
So now we get into the tangibles, which is great. So nervous systems are on. We're ready to go. There's been an invitation. There's flexibility. There's freedom and safety. And now we're inviting our partners to share with us their feelings, their desires, their wishes. Ladies, be prepared for language to come that may not feel comfortable for you. And this is where I mean, and you're smiling, Nathan, it's that generally speaking, we need to make allowances for men to fumble words a little bit. I'm not trying to infantilize men. I'm saying you generally use language to order food and to get information across. Women generally take the words that you use, but the feeling and emotion connected behind it. Mm-hmm. So what I'd like to say is, can we have some flexibility and grace for do-overs? Allowing the language to develop, not taking everything so literally, and also listening to the truth of their words at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Just a little additional framing too, from my perspective, is that a lot of time is spent for a guy inside an interior world in the mind, trying to figure out the right way to say things. One, we might be perfectionists. Two, we might just not be comfortable. Three, we might be scared of getting it wrong or hurting the person. And so that's where I tended to stay. I never made I had a hard time making the leap to actually verbalizing things because I didn't know what the right way to say it was. And I thought that if I said something wrong, then everything's over. A little dramatic. Let's not say everything's over, but there's going to be problems, right? And so
men are designed to avoid problems or fix problems. So what can I say so that she doesn't have a reaction?
Right. Yeah. And so to have that permission for me as the male partner to say, I want to try things here. And I also probably won't get it quite right in terms of what I'm wanting to say. Like you said, it's going to be clunky, right? But by saying it, I'm committing to it, and I can feel if it feels right or not, right? And so by saying it to you, I can then circle back around and refine it and make it better and be clearer in terms of what I'm trying to communicate, instead of just my first, dart at the bulletin board or whatever metaphor.
I love that. And I love how you've also talked about process. Process is really important. to people listening, you probably have a specific conflict or emotion or argument or issue that you want to address with your partner. I would ask that you do not start with the big gun. Don't start about your mother-in-law. Don't start about he works too much. Don't start about that, you need to have more physical intimacy with him in a way that feels right for you. I would not start with the big guns. We are creating an environment and starting a process of being able to communicate with each other. It's like we're going to have a conversation about taking out the garbage on Wednesday. And
Yeah.
what do you see as ideal for you?
Let's talk about some things that are good and how do we have more of that?
Perfect. And that's where you really get a sense of their language, your partner's language, and their internal working model. I don't mean to laugh. I'm never trying to be patronizing or laughing, but I'm a woman who's a therapist. I just want to talk all the time about every feeling and every process. And I remember once having a conversation with my partner who will nod all the time as I talk about these big, process-oriented neurobiological sequencing. And we were having a conversation. And as I actually just listened and paid attention to his thought processes, I was like, it's very simple. It's just very simple. I use a lot of words and have a lot of feelings where he's pretty simple. And I could cut out like 45% of all of the back and forths that we do. And it made me really realize that he's actually being patient and loving by giving me so much space to talk. And it was to slow down a little bit and be like, oh, this is the style that's comfortable for me. But what's actually more comfortable for my partner? Can it be shorter, sweeter, simpler? Do I need to get every feeling addressed in that conversation? And that's the piece about this being an invitation to actually pay attention to what's comfortable for your partner and just where they are right now, knowing that we're going to grow together. But let's put our needs on the back burner just for a second so that we can create a container so that those needs can more effectively and comprehensively be addressed. How does that feel?
Feels great. It feels great. And so piggybacking on that, I'd like to back up in a minute and just like, how do we actually start? Right. But a key element of that I'm responding to from what you said is also a request to have one topic to talk about and not stack them one at a time and do it and let build that muscle so that your partner can feel more ease in this dynamic. Like, okay, we're doing this again. I liked it last time, as opposed to, wow.
Again, it's setting up each other for success. And I do know in some of the couples therapies that, I've done with clients, there's always a lot of exasperation and frustration from the female partner. And she's like, I feel like I'm always slowing down to make him feel more comfortable.
Yeah, please.
And I say, yes. If this is the partner that you chose, and if this is where he's at right now in his ability to move through emotions in this way, it is an act of love and grace that you are doing that. It is not an act of self-sacrifice. And we have to reframe that. There are many ways that this person is a beautiful partner for you. This is a way that you want him to grow a different muscle.
Yeah. We will be able to show up better if we're not engulfed. If we're not, up to our neck trying to navigate a complex, layered situation.
Yeah. And that also comes down to capacity, because oftentimes I do work with partners that are incompatible as far as their capacity. And that's where we have to have honest conversations about, this is the capacity of my partner. Are they willing to grow? And like you said, stretch that muscle. If yes, I can give that gift of love together. If it's a no, you're banging your head against the wall. This person doesn't want to grow in that way. And that needs to be a real self-reflection about, why am I choosing a partner that doesn't want to grow with me in that way?
Right.
Because Nathan, what I hear from you is you do want to. You're ready to. I work with so many men that want to. They just want to be shown the way, and not as sort of their female partner being mother or teacher. No. Again, act of love. In the same way that our men have acts of love towards us, one of emotion and receptivity and safety is a gift of love that we can give them.
Yeah. And in terms of a goal, I want things to be easeful, and I know that I need to meet my partner where she is. So those are two different things that can come together.
And is it helpful when we just tell you what it is that we want you to do tangibly?
I can't answer that with a blanket statement. Information is good. Information is good, but there's such a knife edge between management and sharing.
I think what I mean is it is helpful, ladies, when we are specific. When I'm upset, it means a lot to me when you hug me.
Yes,
It's
that
very,
specificity is great. Yes.
yes. So we're not managing you. I need you to do this for me.
Well,
Again,
and even like in this moment, I realized I misheard you based on my position. I thought you were saying what I need you to do. I tacked that you to do on the end, and you didn't say it. You said what you
no.
need. Oh my gosh.
Perfect example though. But look, you're smiling and you're relaxed and you're loose. And I'm giggling and here we go. Imagine in partnership if it could just be that simple. Oh my goodness, I got activated and that's what I thought you said. I'm like, didn't say that.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my goodness, yes. Do you see the flexibility with which we can allow do-overs
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that we're trying to get to the same goal? Now, again, in intimate partnerships, the stakes are way higher, but this is the goal to just have it more easy.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So Natasha, how do we begin a conversation? Two people, let's say there's something, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this, right? There's something going on. And probably some defensiveness, or whatever it is on both sides. And we've tried before, in this scenario, the partners have tried before, and we just want to peel it back and just start real basic and get off on the right foot in a way that also sets the stage for the next time and the next time.
The opening that I love, because it's the most truthful and the most inclusive, is I'm struggling with something. Can you please help me? That's it. I'm struggling with my feelings around what happened to us last Wednesday at your father's house. Can you help me feel better about this? Can you help me work through this? Can you help me understand what was happening where I was left feeling that way? There's no blame. I'm taking responsibility for sort of my feelings and asking for your help to get to a better outcome around it. How does it feel to you, Nathan, as a man, when I go, I'm struggling with something? Can you help me with it?
The couple of things happen. One, that language appeals because it can be of support. And also I recognize there's some gravity happening. There's some real seriousness here. And I don't know necessarily where that's going to go. So I am two sides, happening right now. One is I appreciate that framing. And the other thing is I'm a little bit nervous about where this might go.
Yeah.
I guess that's appropriate,
good.
Right?
Of course.
And then, in this beginning stage, that would be really appropriate. And then as we work on it and do it a couple of times, then that apprehension I feel can soften because I know that it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's really the piece. So an opening that's always great is I'm struggling with something. Can you help me with it? And it invites our partner in. And then, like Nathan's saying, once there's more success around it, again, don't start with the deepest, darkest problem. Then there's more comfort around, oh, she's not trying to attack me. She's not trying to make me bad. She's not telling me I'm not good enough. I didn't do it right. Men hear criticism really easily, even when we're not trying to. And so again, we really want to build up that safety. So that's how I'd start a conversation.
I'm wondering at this moment, this may be a delay tactic on the male part, but I'm wondering if there's a situation that could be talked about that didn't involve the relationship. Maybe it's something out in the world, another relationship or a situation at work So that this framing isn't attached to couple issues. Maybe that's
Perfect.
just
Same thing. Same
same
thing.
thing. Okay.
I'm really struggling with something that happened at work with my boss. I'm hoping you can help me unpack it.
Yeah. Now
Orientation,
that's 100%. I'm in there.
right? I'm in. I want to problem solve. You need help. I can be of support. There's something to do. And men want to be oriented.
And I
Remember,
sense
right?
you respect. I sense your respect because you're coming to me for that perspective.
Yes. And again, this is about the neurobiological conditioning of us. Men are wired to want to protect and to serve. You are. That is your orientation. Hence your, do I need to fight? Do I need to be nervous? Am I going to freeze? What's going to happen? So when we set the stage of this is what I want to talk about, myself and my feelings, and I'm inviting you into the process, I want your help, which means I have a need of you. And then go into it very cleanly what it is. And then see how your partner responds and get curious. How do they sequence? Fight, flight, anxiety, nervousness, fawning, overgiving. What is their sequence? We're getting curious around our partner and get curious around yourself. This is self-discovery in partnership. So that's how I would start. And then also knowing about touch. Does touch make us feel like a we? If I put my hand on your arm and it's gentle, I'm not trying to fight you. I'm right here. Or do you have a partner that doesn't want to be touched, that wants to have space, that wants to know what's happening before they can relax? I have a partner that loves to like hold me when we're talking, wants to hold me and like hear my feelings. I want to sit up and look at you because I want all of the information for me. It took a second for him to realize that he felt rejected when I was like, no, babe, I just want to look at you because I care about what you're saying and what I'm saying. And so these small little things are really important. How does my body feel comfortable when I'm talking to you? Do you know, Nathan? Do you like touch or no touch?
Touch.
See, men generally do. They like to know that it's safe and that it's okay.
And you like
And
me.
that I'm not in trouble. Hence,
Yeah.
he just wants to hold me, baby. We got this together. And I'm like, I want to be taken seriously.
Yeah. I like the framing of the little steps as well that we piece together. In terms of my framing, I think about that as my skill set, and so it's like any endeavor, like learning a sport or whatever. It's like we piece these things together and all of a sudden we are accomplished at our goal, but it's one thing at a time. Yeah.
We are learning each other and setting up a process of success to get our needs met. So it's an invitation. It's an I statement. Can you help me with? And it's knowing if your partner wants touch. And it's curiosity about how I can set this up so that we both feel safe, so that we can get our needs met. There are, like you said, small steps, but it leads to a seamless process that can be repeated again and again and again. So I encourage people to try it.
Awesome. And so just to rewind just a little bit in terms of the conversation starter. So I have something going on I could really use your help with. And so then, I think a stating of the issue. And then do you recommend something so literal as the partner stating back what they heard? I mean, are we gonna, have a bit of structure and form for this once we're started?
I think that I would suggest trying it first and seeing what happens, because it's going to evolve over time. Again, when I start with hand on you, I'm really struggling with what happened on Tuesday. I'm hoping you can help me with it. If my partner is right away on their back, it's going to take some time before we start getting into the sequencing of this. Okay. Right? And I wouldn't start with, can you repeat what you heard me say? Because that can come across as super patronizing.
Interesting.
Right?
Yes.
And so I always wait until my partner has a reaction that confuses me, because I think I'm saying something with love and they look pissed. So I will slow down and I'm just like, I just want to check how that came across. It's not, can you repeat back to me? I say all the time, does that make sense? Am I getting that right? Mm-hmm. How does that land for you?
And that's actually that I love that modeling, because that's also the request from me to my partner, is to allow that space. So that's mirroring and giving permission in a nice way. Questions, showing curiosity. Curiosity is the best thing I find.
Absolutely.
In any situation.
The curiosity piece is so important. And I've had, again, couples in my office, say to me, like, this feels so formal. Like, it doesn't feel like us. And I go, this is no longer your husband. This is no longer your wife or your partner. This is all of the childhood trauma that they've accumulated over their lifetime that's now sitting in front of you that we need to have more of a delicate process to unpack. It'll eventually be far more comfortable with, like, babe, can you help me with something? Right. But for right now, we want it to feel like uniquely us, but we're also trying something new. So a little bit of grace, like you said, that it can feel clunky. But for right now, I'd say give it a shot, see how it goes. And next time, I want to talk a little bit more about weeding through some more hot topics around what are our actual emotional needs as women, and how to meet them ourselves as a primary source of support, and then how to get our partners on board as that secondary sense of support, so that we can better understand our men in the actual emotional needs that they have. We need to be a solid base first before we can really step in and support them on how trapped they feel, the pressures of growing up as boys and men.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot for next time.
Maybe over a couple of episodes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Natasha.
And that's the show. We'll be back next week with new insight and clarity in building a bridge of understanding between men and women in partnership, leading to the deeper connections we all seek. In the meantime, please subscribe to Understand Your Man wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you found any of this inspiring or helpful, please leave us 5 stars and a positive review. Remember, sharing your opinion as a listener is the best way for others to find us and, hopefully, begin to engage the tips and practical guidance offered here in their own lives in new and exciting ways. If you would like to send us a question or suggest a topic for discussion, feel free to reach out via email at understandyourmanpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.